Consumers are increasingly voting with their feet and committing to companies and brands that align with their values. Equally, employee activism on a whole range of issues, from the climate crisis to racial injustice, continues to grow. And legislative changes could well be on the horizon that will reward early adopters who go beyond mere compliance. Businesses should be working with every stakeholder group as a way to future-proof your business by making sure that your purpose and that your ESG commitments remain a central priority for your business. In this short video, we share 4 quick tips to help you start your journey to stakeholder capitalism. Tip 1. Start by identifying your stakeholders. At Business in the Community, we define a stakeholder as anyone with an influence on, an interest in, or who is impacted by a business's project, products and services, or strategy. You can start by identifying and listing out your internal and external stakeholders and making sure that you're taking account of a really diverse range of perspectives across the environment, your communities, and your whole value chain. We then recommend that the next step is to create a stakeholder map to help you to prioritize these different stakeholder groups. A classic stakeholder map will rank your stakeholder groups by influence and by interest. That ranking can then help you and your colleagues identify the stakeholder groups with the greatest amount of impact on a given product, strategy, or issue. Tip 2. Stakeholder engagement isn't stakeholder accountability unless you listen and respond.
During the research project with BITC, we heard from organisations about the important distinction between stakeholder engagement and stakeholder accountability. They said it's one thing to engage with stakeholders, but it's another to really listen and to take that view into account as part of a holistic decision-making process. And if that's not done, they said that you run the risk of stakeholder engagement appearing as a bit of a tick box exercise. It's about an ongoing two-way conversation, and that it was important to have channels of communication open to enable the business to keep stakeholders informed, and also to enable stakeholders to hold business to account. Mechanisms of accountability that we heard about from interviewees ranged from employee ownership to custodian shareholders representing different stakeholder groups, through to board representation and customer advisory boards.
So stakeholder governance is really important to SUEZ because our stakeholders are the lifeblood of what we do, whether that's our employees who are providing our services every day, or our customers that are signing up to our services and obviously generating a revenue that allows us to continue to function successfully. And when we are talking to our stakeholders, it's important that we are listening, understanding what they need from us, and also reacting to that as well, so we continue to improve and continue to develop our services, which ultimately leads to commercial success as well. So one way we do that is through our social profit calculator, which is a bespoke calculator that we developed with an external consultancy that helps us understand the social, environmental and the economic impact that we're having at a local level, individual site level, all the way up to company level, but also we can do that contract by contract as well.
Tip 3. Measure and communicate the link between stakeholder capitalism and commercial success. Our research showed that there is still a perception that stakeholder capitalism is a fad that will pass over time, and that the best way to deliver financial results is by focusing exclusively on your shareholders. But this simply isn't true. Stakeholder accountability or stakeholder capitalism isn't about compromising your commercial success. It's about ensuring resilient growth with less risk over a longer time period. We know that firms that treat their stakeholders especially well can increase their market valuation by between 40 and 80% compared to their peers with average or poor stakeholder relationships. Equally, organisations that are performing financially well can help to sustain those results by building closer working relationships with their stakeholders that can deliver insights and fresh relationships. Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, said in his 2022 letter to CEOs, "In today's globally interconnected world, a company must create value for and be valued by its full range of stakeholders in order to deliver long-term value for its shareholders." When stakeholder interests are aligned, companies are in a strong position to deliver financial sustainability for the long term. Tip 4. Become a leader in stakeholder governance before it becomes compulsory.
Current UK company law requires directors to promote the success of the company as a whole, having regard to the members, but also taking into account other stakeholder interests, such as community, employees, and the environment. Beyond that, we heard from some interviewees that the position under the Companies Act can be used as a defence or a justification for taking decisions which can be incredibly detrimental to some stakeholder interests, whether that be the environment, the communities that they operate in, or their employees. Amendments that are being proposed to the legislation by the Better Business Act would actually level the playing field and ensure that all organisations were working to the same goals, giving accountability to stakeholder engagement.
The Better Business Act is a campaign to put the interests of stakeholders at the very heart of corporate purpose, so that directors of businesses are responsible for aligning the interests of their shareholders with those of wider society and the environment. We want to do this by amending Section 172 of the Companies Act, which is the piece of the Act that deals with directors' duties and establishes essentially their job description. And we've created a campaign which now has the support of over 1,200 businesses and other organisations such as the Institute of Directors, all helping us in driving for this change.
To find out more about stakeholder capitalism, click on the link below to read our report and find out how else business and the community can help you to engage with your stakeholders.